Hey.
Hey.
So, when we were making our YouTube page, praying about it, thinking about it, we decided to call it Abbott Stories. And that's because we wanted to tell stories about our lives, examples, things we'd been through, and just kind of be like a...
We also want to tell stories from the Bible.
Yeah, we want to tell stories from the Bible as well.
And how we interpret them and how we try to help other people understand them.
Yeah, and verses that help us through hard times, just different things. And if you've been around us long,
for any amount of time,
and you really know us, you know that our lives are always going. They're going somewhere. We make a plan and we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. It's going to be great. And then it's crumple that plan up, toss it out the window, because that ain't how it's going, Sister Suki. And a prime example is we have a camera. Usually it's a Nikon camera. It's really nice. Well, it just decided it's not recording anymore. Got 56 seconds. So it's well, that's not going to work. So this is our first video on a phone. Hope the quality's good. But
God will provide.
But when we made this YouTube page, we were stepping out in faith, not really knowing where it was going, what was going to happen with it. And once we started talking more serious Bible topics and kind of being a light, Satan was oh, I gotta step my game up.
He's really been trying to cut the power.
And so last event that y'all heard about was our battery dying.
Just after we'd had to buy new tires.
No. The battery died, and then we had to buy... No, you're right. Yeah. You're right. We bought new tires, which...
we planned about, we was cool with. I mean, not really.
Not really, because the price that we had was not the price they gave us. And we were but that doesn't add up, because that's not what
But it was an expense we knew was going to happen.
Yes, but it was not what we thought it was going to be. So we're okay, whatever. And went on about our lives. And then our battery dies. Then his papa dies. Then we got to get an oil change, and it's almost $100. And I was what? So it was the month of May, literally was boom, 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 boom. And I was okay, God, I can't take any more.
And is the weekend after Pepper died?
And then that Sunday, Memorial Day, we're at somebody's house. We're chilling. We're yes, it's a great day.
Met some new people, had a good time.
Yeah, we're having a great time eating food, not thinking about anything that could go wrong in the world. We get home, we're what's that smell?
Weird. But it wasn't hot, so he was it's fine. Don't even
and
worry
we're what's that burnt smell? And I'm well, just our dogs are here. They can't cook. Nothing's wrong. Let them outside. Turned the air down and went to bed. Well, 2:30 on that morning, I rose up and I was oh my God. And I was Cole, do you hear that? Huh? And just back is
half is the pool pump.
And I was Cole, do you hear that? And he was and it's I think it's the pool pump. And I start marching down the stairs. And Cole knows he should have got up first. Because he comes every time. He'll come right behind me. I was getting up.
You didn't give me enough time. I'm still sleeping.
And I'm Cole, the pool pump's going to be blown up. So when we walk outside, the jets are pumping. It sounds normal.
I was so mad because the pool pump was fine. I was expecting it to at least been on fire or something. So, a good enough reason to get me out of bed.
So I'm man, the air unit's kicking. I was so I don't know what this is.
Because the air unit was still making the sound it's supposed to be.
Yeah, outside. So we come inside and I don't hear it. And I'm I don't know what this sound could be. And I just chalked it up to we'll figure it out in the morning. Well, Cole happens to walk past our return vent and he says, Elizabeth. I said, what? So I was mad because I thought I was up for no reason. He says this. And I was
the Freon was pumping.
But there was no air being pulled in. And so I go down to the stairs. I'm well, that's right. The heat's rising, but it says it's... And I said, well, turn that off. So we turn it off. We pull out our warranty book at 2:30 in the morning. We're flipping through that sucker. We find the claim number. We call it. Nobody answers. So I'm okay. So we call back the next morning at 8 a.m. They take our claim. They tell us what... Well, we wait 3 weeks and still nothing from our warranty company. So I'm like this Wednesday after I got back, I said,
almost 3 weeks.
I said, no. I said, we can't go any longer. It was getting 80 degrees. I was like, this has to be fixed soon. So I whip it out and I call somebody. I asked my neighbor, I said, do you know anybody? And she said, yeah, he's pretty reasonable. And so I said, okay. And
You asked her that on Tuesday. You called him Wednesday.
I called him Wednesday and he came Wednesday. He said, the number you're giving me is a furnace problem. So
all right, look, I did not go to trade school. I went to college. And that being said, I followed the instruction manual. It told me how to troubleshoot, so I troubleshot, and it threw codes. Well, to troubleshoot, you got to run the heater. So he was bewildered when he saw codes for heat, when we was having problems for AC, and I don't blame him because, I probably had no idea what I was doing, but I was trying my best, okay? I don't like to spend money on this kind of thing, so that's why we bought 2 parts, trying to fix it ourselves. That didn't work, so she got fed up. I was just fine leaving all the windows open at nighttime and running the mini split in the sunroom, but it's fine. She was over it. She wanted to go back to her bed.
So, which we bought 2 parts. We called an air conditioning company, and they were like, yeah, but because throwing that code, it has to be that. And we had explained that,
And now that I'm thinking about it, sorry to interrupt, honey, but that man is probably selling us these parts because of the codes we're telling him because I did it wrong. How much do you want to bet that I did it wrong?
I don't know. I was not reading the instruction manual, though, because when Cole gets aggravated and has an instruction manual in front of him, don't ask to look at it because he's...
We woke up
That's rusty.
We woke up the next morning. No, we took it apart that night, didn't we?
No. We were...
It was the next morning?
Yeah. The next morning, we go out there and we look at it and they'll come. They'll send somebody.
We thought it was
an emergency.
Started looking up YouTube videos about blower fans. We took the whole thing out, took the control panel off, took the blow motor out, took the motor off of the fan, looked at it, yep, looks good, put it back in, put it back together.
At 2:00 at night the next night, because that's when we decided we were ready to deal with it.
We were so mad.
And so we bought 2 parts and that was not working. And so I called somebody and he said, well, your unit's a 2020, so it's under warranty, luckily. And I was like, well, bless that man. And I was like, if it's 2020, how did the unit go out? That was my first thought. And then he walked out to our huge unit outside. He said, well, that's 2021. And he starts talking about surge protectors and stuff. And I was just like, oh.
Well, we just had a big storm the day before he came out.
Yeah.
And he was thinking that that's what happened, and then we told him that we'd not had anything for 2.5 weeks.
So he's like, oh. So he's like, it'll be Friday before I can get you the parts. And I'm like, well, that's fine. He's like, but you don't have to pay for the parts, you just have to pay for labor. And he gave us this estimate. And we were like, and he was telling us, I'm going to have to take it all out and blah, 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 blah. And we were just kind of giggling to ourselves because we were like, well, we did that at 10 o'clock at night. We know how hard it is. And he leaves, and Friday morning comes, and about 11 o'clock, Cole's like, well, I'm going to call him. And I said, no, give him time.
I'm not the most patient man in the world.
Well, at 12:30, he calls me. No, 12:20, he calls me and says, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I have the parts. I said, oh, praise God.
And if we didn't start praising Jesus in the kitchen.
And so I was just so, like, I want this to be over. And it was so funny because we were not trying to complain in those moments, but we were like, Lord, I don't think there's much more that we can take at this moment. Because it literally just felt like riptide after riptide after riptide was just like trying to pull us under. But during all of that, there were so many blessings going on in our lives. So one night our Wi-Fi went out, just stopped working. So
I thought it was because our air went out and it overheated.
Yeah, like we took the unit out, we put a fan on it. We really thought we'd broke our Wi-Fi.
That's how I got to work.
That's how I got to work too, honey.
Yeah, I bet.
And so the next morning I'm going to check the mail. We're not supposed to get anything, but she stops and gives us mail. And I'm like, huh. So I go out there and get in the
I
mailbox,
forgot about that.
and there was $195 cold cash in our mailbox. I just looked at it.
That repaid for the the first part we bought. That paid for the oil change, and we still had some left over.
And so we were like, wow. And we can never figure out who gave it to us.
Because
No, don't mention that part. Why would you mention that to the world?
I don't care. You can see them as soon as you walk past.
Most people just think they're spotlights. We're not mentioning it. So anyways, we were like, we'll never figure out who gave us this money. And so we take it in, we praise God, and we're like, thank you. What is wrong?
I'm just listening.
And so then today, we get our water and electric bill and put together. And it's like sewer, water, so, and it's $114 and some odd cents. Well, I got to pay it. And it's due on the 17th of every month. And if you know me, I pay my bills very early. I'm a very meticulous woman.
This is the latest we've ever paid a bill.
The 16th. So I called today and calling down to them to pay. And I'm like, I need a card. Because I'm so frazzled, I don't even have a card sitting in front of me. And she said, well, we have a credit on your account. And I thought she was saying that they had somehow said, like, we'd missed a bill. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, you made 12 payments on time for a year straight. And you've had to pay a $150 deposit, so we gave it back to you. So it paid this bill, and then you have $35 credit for next bill. And I said, so I don't have to pay anything? She said, no. I said, wow. That's a blessing in disguise.
Praise the Lord.
And I was just like, we had the money to pay the bill. We just got paid today. But I was just like, there are so many blessings where we are seeing God work, where we were like, how are we going? Because we had a savings account set aside. We were being good people, like they say, to set your money aside and save it. And then, just in one swift swoop, in a month, it was eaten up.
I tell you, you know how I know Satan was trying to get us? He done took my air away in the middle of summer. I don't play with the heat. We're not friends. And I'm so thankful for the mini split in the sunroom and the ceiling fans in the sunroom.
But listen, here's another crazy thing. So we have a pool outside, and if you know me and Cole, we are not like we could survive if needed. Clearly, we can survive, but our trade school skills are very limited. Very limited. And so I came home, and he was like, the pool's growing algae. And I was like, great, you didn't keep the pool alive while I was gone.
Immediately blame me. Not talking about all the rain we had, how unbalanced the pH had been, I've been telling you about. Because of all the rain we had, it rained for 3 days straight. And what did I get? The blame.
I literally was like, you had one job.
All right, to be fair, last summer I ruined the pool.
He did.
We're not going to talk about that.
Every time he would ruin it, and I'd have to bring it back, and then he'd ruin it again. And I was like, stop. But, so, it's like, you had one job. So, I come home, I vacuum the pool, because he's like, you can vacuum it better than me. And I love my husband to pieces, but vacuuming of any sort is not his strong suit. You're going to find dirt in your floor afterwards.
I can clean countertops. Okay.
No, I love him. And I tell you that with a whole heart. My husband cannot clean countertops and cannot vacuum.
I can do laundry. It just might sit in there a few days. It'll be dry, though.
It'll be dry. It'll be extra dry.
It'll be wrinkly as heck, but it'll be dry. Just dry it again. It'll be fine.
But, so I'm vacuuming the pool, and then we turn it back on, and he's like, no, I need to backwash it.
You know I needed to. The pressure was wonky, and there was a bubble. There was a pocket, and it was blown air.
And so I'm like, okay, yeah, backwash it. He turns it off, he flips it to backwash, and all of a sudden, he flips it back on. And I said, oh, no.
That's the sound it makes when it don't work.
Yeah, that's when you hear that sound, shut it off.
Shut it off quick, 'cause it's going to get real hot.
And so, I'm like, great, solid. I'm like, put it back to the filter, see if that works.
It didn't work.
And then we know the issue because we've had it so many times. It's our propeller's blocked. So we, of course, take the thing off, turn the power off, and try to spin it. And he's like, it's not spinning
Because
like
that
it
usually
should.
gets it. Usually sometimes something will get stuck and it's not, there's just enough friction that it won't spin right. So you just got to help it along and then it gets it.
And he was like, I still can't get it, Elizabeth. And so I'm like, great. So, I mean, it's getting dark at this point. We're like, you know what? No. Just turn it off. We're going to bed in the sunroom because we still don't have AC at this moment. So, we go to bed.
That happened Thursday. That happened yesterday.
No.
That happened
Yeah,
Wednesday?
that happened. Yeah, well, that happened Wednesday night and Thursday morning we fixed it.
Yeah.
And so, I'm like, gun ho. If I know I gotta do something, I'm gonna be up way too early. If I know, like, if I'm like, man, I gotta clean the house tomorrow.
If she's got plans for the next day, don't plan on sleeping in, or getting as much sleep as you can before you got to go to work, or really sleeping soundly at all for that matter, because that's the only thing that's on her brain.
I go to bed thinking about it, like I'm making plans.
I swear she might be practicing in the sleep too.
So I wake up before my alarm that day, and I'm like, you can turn my alarm off. And I just look at him. And I'm like, he's gonna hate me. Do, 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 do. And I get up, I let the dogs out, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing, I'm just gonna go fix the pool pump, babe.
It's not that I'm not a morning person. It's that I have a plan. And I get to sleep until 7:35, or I at least get to lay there until 7:35. And then when she starts doing stuff at 6:45, that's kind of a problem.
And so, you know me, go in the garage. I'm like opening up his toolbox. I'm like, I need this. And I take it out there and I start unscrewing stuff.
She got all the tools she needed. Didn't know which ones to use.
Oh, well, I got some of the screws off, okay? And then I was like, babe. Well, first I tink tink on the door just to set the mood.
She started asking me questions while I was half asleep.
I said, so here's the problem. Because if you look at our pool pump, the bolts on the bottom, you just have to look at it. But I'm like, so here's the problem. I need the green screwdriver thing. Because it's straight, but it doesn't have the right size, so I have to use the black one that has a turn, but I can't get it to turn because, where the house is and the pump. So, what do I do? And he's like, huh? And I'm like...
make no kind of sense.
I'm like, if you just come out here and look at it and, tell me what you think I should do, you can just go back to bed. Well, he should...
Once I get up, there ain't going back.
He should have known that was a lie. He takes the tools, and I just stand back, and I'm just like...
It happens every time.
Got him.
This ain't the first time that she's found a project or wanted something done, and she said, I'm going to do it by myself. I don't need no help. She gets the tools all by herself. She sets the tools out, looks at them.
Makes a plan.
Which one should I use?
It's my toxic trait.
And then I go, that one. And I walk away because she don't want no help. And she
Sometimes
starts
I don't
doing
want
it.
help.
She said, you could show me how to do it.
Yeah, if I get lost, I'm like, I'm gonna break it. And so it's like, I'm gonna break it. Poop worse. So my husband, I'm like, I can get the top bolts. I couldn't get the top bolts either. And so he's having to be Hercules. And then he's like, well, now I gotta take this piece off and take all these out. And I'm like, because it wasn't uncommon. Done. And I was like, this propeller's literally hung on something. And so then we get to the front part, and we start unscrewing all those bolts. Well, then there was this bolt that was like, no, I'm not coming. Huh. And
he had terrible positioning.
And so his alarm starts going off. Our dogs are inside freaking out because there's an alarm and they're like, oh my God, I broke the house.
That's when they go outside. That's when it's time to get up, when Dad's alarm goes off.
Yeah, when Mom's alarm goes off, they just kind of
yeah, okay, whatever.
That lady again. And so he's like, well, at 7:45, he's like, well, I gotta go get breakfast. And I'm like, okay.
I wasn't mad at her. I was just upset in general because the pool pump's still broken. The thing's up against the wall. I can't get it out, and I'm hungry, and I'm still sleeping, and I ain't had no coffee yet.
And so I'm like, it's okay, babe. I got this. And so lunch happens, and I watch him. And I'm like wanting to ask him to go work on the pool pump with me, but I know he gonna tell me no. So I'm just watching him, hoping he'll come up with ideas on his own. He didn't come up with it.
She likes to do this thing where she tells me things with her mind and drops hints.
I don't drop a single hint about the pool pump though. I just was telepathic.
But I'm saying sometimes you.
Yeah, sometimes I'll drop a hint like, "Hey, do you want a milkshake?" And I'm like, "Nah." When actually I wanted a milkshake, but he was zoom. He still ain't learned.
Even though we both take communication classes, and she knows that I communicate directly.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, let's get off the soapbox of destroying Elizabeth. 5 o'clock comes around. And he says something. Like, I actually might have been laying down at this moment.
Yeah,
and,
you snoozing.
And he comes in, and he's like, "Oh, I'll lay down with you." And I was like, "Well, what about the pool pump?" And he was like, "I just wanted to relax for a minute." And I was like, "There's no time. We're going to lose daylight, honey." So
yeah, she said that.
He gets out there with his tools, and he's all like, and he starts cranking it. And I mean, he's showing me this cool technique that you actually got to twist the handle. You can just twist a little one piece. I was amazed. And I was like, "Oh man, you're making my heart palpitate." And finally, he got this piece off. And I'm holding this pump. And I'm like, "Well, I can't let this thing fall." And then water starts gushing. I'm like, "Oh my God, is water supposed to be gushing, Cole?" And he's like, "Yes, Elizabeth. Water is supposed to be coming out."
She has the best memory, but forgets certain things, I guess, because last summer we watched 5 different videos when our pool pump didn't work, and 3 of them showed the water coming out of the pump.
And so he takes it off, and I'm over there trying to hold it, and I'm like, "This is kind of heavy." And he comes over and he grabs it, and I like stick my hand in this hole, and I was like, "Well, there's nothing in here." And then I take my hand and I spin the propeller, and it starts spinning really good, because earlier it wasn't spinning at all. And I was like, "Was it spin like this earlier?" Because usually he puts his hand in there, because he's like, "Don't do it, I'll do it, I'll get a screwdriver." I don't know, he's trying to protect these little hands. And so he's like, "No, it wasn't spin like this." So we took it off, and nothing came out. And I was like, "Are you serious?"
We didn't see anything come out.
Yeah.
So whatever was stopping it could have washed out with the rest of the water.
Yeah. And so we put it back on. But the funniest part is that we took off 4 bolts on this side, 4 bolts on this side, a screw, and then 4 bolts from the back. So 8, 4, 8, 12,
the other
13.
4, those are like 4 screws.
Yeah, 13, like long screws. So we took out 13 things when in actuality we only needed to take off 4 bolts the whole time.
Now we know.
But now we know next time. And screwing those back on was also a test, because they were still in a really bad angle. And, like, you can't move the pool pump because there's a hole that literally, like, all the pool hoses are connected to it. And it's sitting on this crate. Like, it is the worst setup of our lives. But we have a pool. So, I mean, we probably shouldn't be complaining. But these are first world problems. These are Cole and Elizabeth's stories. And so we get it back pumping. And I'm like, and he's like, "You think I should bash wash it?" I said, "No.
Shit, don't touch it.
Don't touch it." And we call his mom, and we're like, "We might not be AC repair people, but we can make a pool work." Don't call us for any pool needs, though. So that's kind of just like our lives 24/7 is, you're like, we literally.
If we don't know how to do something, we'll stumble our way through it until we figure it out.
Yeah.
And if we can't figure it out after we've tripped and fallen, scuffed our knees and our elbows, then we might call somebody.
More likely.
It might still take me a week and a half to call somebody.
No one is your car battery.
No.
I was just reading the manual, like that was going to tell me magically what was wrong with the car. I don't know, that's what they always do in the movies. I just grabbed the manual and started reading it. But this is just to, like, show you, like, how real of, like, people we are. Like, in the month of May and June so far, we have been, like...
I'm surprised we still have legs because of how many times our knees have been knocked out.
We're kind of like that we're the duck. Our legs are underneath, they're going, but we look cool as a cucumber up top. And it's just kind of who we are.
I think sometimes we think we look cooler as a cucumber than we look. I just imagine us going to church sometimes, and it's like people can tell that we've been going through it like the week before. But
it is who we are. So this is just for everybody and anybody that's ever gone through something, or like you're just in a season right now where you're like, will this ever end? Look for like the mini blessings, because our pool pump did not work. Do we know how to fix it? Yes. Did we fix it? Yes. We could swim in our pool. Our air did not work, but luckily the man that lived here before us put a mini split in the sunroom, so we were able to sleep in the sunroom with our ceiling fans on, because I decided geniusly to rip all the ceiling fans out of our house because I don't like fans. And in the summer I was like, man, I really regret that consequence.
they was old anyway, so it's fine.
Like, all our bills are paid, but we were like holding off paying a bill because so many things had happened to us that, lo and behold, God knew the whole time, like, that bill's taken care of. They're not going to have to worry about that this month. Yep. Like, somebody somewhere was like, I'm going to give this house $195 out of the blue. No, nothing. Just bless them. And sometimes it's easy to look at the circumstances and be like, wow, all I see is the trouble and the heartache and the circumstance and the unpaid bill and the bank account and the no food in the fridge and just everything. And when God's like,
real easy to see the hard stuff.
Where's the blessing? And that's sometimes like what we just have to do. Like, find the joy. We've talked about that. Speaking Jesus over it. But honestly, just being like, well, where's the mini blessing? Like, where's the blessing? Because I can tell you that there's a blessing in it always somewhere. And something about us, like, our air unit, every time we went to go test it or, like, we bought a part, we'd put our hands on it and pray over it. Like, our pool pump, we'd put our hands on it and pray over it every time. And it's just kind of, like, in our core. Like, when we got that blessing, every time we get a blessing, we're just like, wow, thank you, Jesus, because you are so faithful, because you say in your word, if you give, I will give to you abundantly. And God's like never fails on that. See?
Something I learned through not having any air was a new way to pray. And it was just, I think that was like the most passionate prayer and the hardest that I've ever prayed. And boy, was I praying for some rain. And I got it.
He would text me, it's going to rain here.
I was doing a rain dance. I have a rain stick upstairs.
No, you don't.
We made it for...
Oh, yeah,
remember?
we did make a rain stick for VBS. I hope you weren't shaking that around like a fool.
No, but I was praying. No joke, I was praying. And then it rained for 3 days straight.
He did not do a rain dance, though.
No, I had a praise party with Chuck and B, and it was nice. It's good rain.
So, I mean, just a rain was a blessing.
Find the joy, and once you make it out, you got to look back and laugh about it.
Because we're laughing right now, but during the middle of it, which every time, like, we would, like, be in a hunker down, we'd look at each other and be like, one day we're going to laugh about this. Not today, maybe, but one day we are going to sit, tell our kids about this, and laugh our booties off. Yeah, that's all I got.